Hey guys, so I want to talk about Batman v Superman and the fan and critical response that it's having. Now, as you might know or might not know, right now the grade for this movie is a 29%, and a lot of fans are upset about this. But I do want to talk about the whole blame game that's going on here. It is not the critics' fault. That's something that's been going around. They're saying it's the critics' fault. They don't understand Snyder's genius. They don't understand the movie. They just don't like what they're doing. And kind of going on top of that, they're blaming Marvel. They're saying, oh, it's pretty much Marvel's fault. The critics don't like it. Everyone's expecting the Marvel formula. They're expecting lightheartedness. They're expecting fun. They're expecting family-friendly, whatever. I just want to say that is not true, and that's to be honest, it's incredibly stupid to think that. It's not Marvel's fault. If you've looked at Marvel, yeah, they have fun in their movies. They've done dark movies, I mean. One of them, Iron Man 3, it's incredibly dark. You might think just because he laughs off the fact he's having these panic attacks, it's not really a Marvel formula. It's kind of true. I have a lot of friends who have panic attacks. It's a serious thing. It's something that happens. People react differently every time. I have a friend who came from a country where there was a whole bunch of war, and he has kind of flashbacks to that, and it just kind of sets him off. He'll usually try to laugh it off. Some other friends just have anxiety attacks where it's really serious for them and they get really sad, they cry. It's different for everyone. So then you can have a Winter Soldier where that's dealing with political stuff and just a whole bunch of serious themes that have gone on throughout the world. So I mean, even though they do have fun in their movies, they still have dark movies. So that's really not a problem. Critics don't mind dark movies. It's just make sure it's a good movie at the same time. That's a big thing though. People are saying, oh, they didn't like Batman v Superman because they didn't do jokes. It's not bright. It's gritty and whatever. Yeah, that's a big problem because people don't want that right now. But I mean, as you've seen previously, I mean, movies like Inception, you have movies like Interstellar, The Dark Knight, Dark Knight Rises. Those are gritty movies. They're dark, but they were critically acclaimed. People love them. It's not the fact that it's a dark and gritty movie. People don't care about that. As long as it's a good movie, people will respond well to the movie. So it's not that right there. Just you kind of have to. It takes a little bit of admitting on the whole fan side and the director side. It's just a really flawed movie. People don't care. It's not that they don't understand your vision. They don't understand what you like. It's just it's not a great movie. Granted, it's not a terrible movie. It's not horrible. It's really deeply flawed. And the fact that it's gritty and dark has nothing to do with it. Like I said, people like a lot of gritty movies. They like Amazing Spider-Man, Days of Future Past. People like them. They're dark. They're not as gritty, but they're definitely dark. They don't have as many jokes, but they're well done in a sense. So you can follow the plot, etc. I think the problem people have with Batman v Superman is not Marvel's fault. It's not the critics' fault. It's the fault of the movie. As I explained in my review, the balance was off. It was dark in some scenes, and right in the next scene, it's completely goofy and just really lighthearted. And it just kind of throws the people off balance in the audience. You could hear a lot of people in the audience kind of complaining, or a lot of people even got up and left. Which, I mean, is kind of sad because I really did want people to enjoy this movie. I love Batman, I love Superman, and seeing people get up to leave, it really kind of cemented my feelings on the movie as to how it is and what they're doing wrong. Now, granted, this movie did have a lot of jokes. They were a lot of hit and miss because, as I said, the balance is off. They had some serious moments, and they had Lex Luthor, who was just incredibly cringy, and he's just kind of like Riddler in Batman Forever, and no one like that. And it's just a lot of hit and miss jokes. Like when Batman saves Martha, and she's like, "Oh, who are you?" He's like, "I'm a friend of your son's." She's like, "Oh, I could tell because of the cape." I mean, sure, he got a chuckle, but it was really forced, and it just wasn't. There was just there to be funny, I guess, to try and add some humor to the movie, but it was really unneeded and unnecessary. But overall, I really don't know what else to say about this. I think it's incredibly stupid, and just crazy how people are getting really angry over this. They're threatening critics. They're just going off the deep end completely with this. It's not Marvel's fault, for fuck's sake, people. It's really not. Marvel is doing their own thing. We're not expecting DC to follow their formula. We don't care. Marvel's doing their thing. DC should do their thing too. The only thing is DC's doing their own thing, but they're doing a really fucking horrible job of it. I mean, you can't deny this movie was really rushed. I mean, it had script problems. The villains were terrible. Lex was... You can't honestly tell me you like Lex. He was cringy. Doomsday was unneeded. He was terrible. He was just rushed in there for no reason at all. Superman had no reason to die. I mean, there was just no reason for a lot of things. A lot of things were just there to be there. It was too many stories in one movie. Now, granted, there's a lot of things I liked about it, and I think there's a lot of scenes that went wrong. With a little bit of tweaking, could have been amazing. It's just a lot of... As much as they did right, they did as much wrong is a problem. That's just... I just don't understand why people are reacting so aggressively towards critics, or they're just using Marvel as kind of a scapegoat as to DC's failure. So I mean, I think another problem with this is, as I said, the pacing. I guess a good example of that is the Justice League cameos, Cyborg, Flash. That's another reason this has a low score. It's just they try to throw too much in there, but it's not explained. As we just saw, they're releasing a version of the movie on Blu-ray that's going to be like 3 hours long. So there's a lot more to this movie that needed to be explained, but they cut out. So obviously there's going to be gaps and holes in the theatrical version. I mean, do you honestly think, as a general audience, I went with a friend of mine and he didn't understand anything about it. Like, he's not big on comics or anything, and they just kind of threw Cyborg in there, they threw Flash in there, they threw Aquaman in there. He had no idea who they were, and that really threw him off. You could tell. He's like, who are those people? Why are they in here? It makes no sense. Like, at the end of the movie, he's like, that just kind of wasted time, because we don't know who they are. They had no reason to be in there. After I explained it to him, he kind of understood, but he still thought it was kind of stupid. So the general audience doesn't understand it like the die-hard comic fans do. Us going into it, we do know who they are. We know what they're trying to do. But the general audience, the critics who are going to go see these movies, they don't know these characters. So these things are just in there and they're kind of wasting time for them. So that's going to dock score for them, obviously, because it's just there and it has no explanation at all. So the story's all over the place. But yeah, when it comes down to it, the real problem with this movie is not Marvel and it's not the critics, as I've stated many times already. It's a problem with the pacing, and the overall plot and story of the movie is just all over the place. So yeah, you guys gotta stop blaming Marvel and the critics. It's not their fault, and you gotta take some, not responsibility, but it's gotta take some admitting from you guys that this is not a perfect movie. I understand you love Batman, you love Superman, you want them to do well, but this is not the movie that did them justice, and it's incredibly flawed. And overall, I think it does deserve a